Welcome to another edition of Beyond the Budget. This is our segment that we put together to give you a little glimpse behind the budget making process here in the city of Chaska. Today we have two guests. We have our electric director, Andrew Romine, and we have our water and sewer director, Matt Haefner, here to talk a little bit about how we set rates for our utilities. This year, we did do a rate analysis for each of our utilities to really look at some of the things that go behind the cost of running the utilities so that we have something quantifiable to be able to look at as far as what we set our rates at. Our overall rate increase for all of our utilities, which is water, sewer, electric, and our stormwater utility was 3.1%, but it's made up of our different components of our different utilities. I did want to talk to and have our utility directors explain a little bit behind what goes into a rate analysis and some of the things that they look at. I think I'll start with our water and sewer director, Matt Haefner. Why don't you talk a little bit about what are some of the main things that we found as we went through the rate analysis for especially our water utility?
Sure. The city of Chaska is required by state statute to provide conservation measures to basically incentivize individuals not to overuse water. Water is not an endless commodity. And in 2009, the city adopted a tiered structure, which is called an inclining block, which means as you use more water, the costs go up. And the rate structures that were set based on kind of the mid-2000s average water consumption. And around that time, 7,000 gallons was the average home's use, especially in the wintertime. Throughout the last several years, appliances, water fixtures, and things inside homes have gotten more efficient, and every homeowner's use has gone down. And the water rate analysis, they look at those factors in establishing where tier structures should be and where rates should be set at.
So we found that people are generally using less water, and if you're going to set your lowest rate to not penalize those who are using the average amount of water, how did that change our tier structure?
Right now in the city of Chaska, about 4,000 gallons is the average home's use throughout the city, residential. We have set our structure to have the first tier stopped at 2,000 gallons. Then the next tier goes to 5,000 gallons to cover a good portion of the city of Chaska. Prior to this rate analysis, there was essentially 3/4 of the city fell into that first tier of 0 to 7,000.
Which really sort of defeats the purpose of a tiered rate structure.
Correct. And it really showed that our analysis at that time was very outdated. And the new rate analysis established that people are using less water and the structure needed to be modified because of that.
Another thing that our rate analysis looks at is really what are the things that we need to plan for in the future? What are those types of capital improvements that we can't just not plan for, that we have to be able to have cash reserves to be able to handle? Maybe I'll turn to Andrew in our electric department on this, because that's a big part of the electric rate analysis, is looking at what type of capital improvements we need to make in the future to make sure that we have reliable electricity. Well, what are sort of those ongoing maintenance costs, but also those future projects that really are critical for us to be able to continue to provide a great service to our residents?
Sure. Some of the ongoing maintenance costs that we would have would be aging wire throughout the infrastructure, aging substation components, aging transformers. As those things get to a certain age, we like to change them out preemptively before they become an issue. We also, every year, we put together a 5-year list of capital improvement projects coming up. Some of those projects would be like overhead to underground conversions. So like we did last year on 6th Street, 7th Street, and Willow, we converted their overhead utilities to underground utilities, and that helps us maintain a more reliable system. And then, it's not just the future projects too, but it's also the larger past projects. We want to make sure that we're setting our rates to help cover. We've recently built a new substation in our northern industrial park, the Lake Hazeltine substation. We've done expansions at our West Creek substation, and we've also recently put in a breaker at our Minnesota River substation, which is going to provide further reliability on our system as well.
Matt, why don't you talk a little bit about your capital improvements that you guys plan for?
Some of the fixed costs that we need to account for with the cost of service study are things such as painting a water tower. If anyone drives by the 100 Mark water tower, which is near Clover Ridge Elementary, and look at the amount of rust on that, that water tower paint has exceeded its life by a few years already and will need to be repainted. The water treatment plant where we're sitting today has a sand and essentially coal media, which is the filtering for the water. That media needs to be replaced. And so those are some of the larger water items that some of the fixed costs will take into account. From a sewer standpoint, we have a number of areas of sewer that is failing, it's cracking, it's got groundwater leaking in. We go through and we do cured in place pipelining, which basically installs a new pipe inside of the existing pipe in the ground. And we do that through our maintenance costs and do not assess homeowners for that work. We have sewer line jetting, which every 3 years we go around the entire city to make sure the sewer lines are clean to minimize any possible backup that customers may have. Those are examples of some of the fixed costs we have.
Thank you. I think one of the things that hopefully our residents recognize in our businesses in town is how reliable our service is. What is the reliability rate of Chaska Electric, and how would that compare to like an XL?
Well, so our rating, we file a SADI-CADI rating, and we file that with APPA, which is American Public Power Association. I can tell that of the utilities that submit their rating and their times of outage to APPA, we're in the top 25% of public power utilities for ratings.
So that's an important component, is the reliability of the electricity, which the capital improvements that we do help with the reliability of it. But on the other side is making sure that our cost, the actual rate to our residents is something comparable. I know over the last 2 years, in 2020, our rate analysis showed that we were, for residential rates, 7 to 9% lower than XL, and we actually were about 9 to 10% lower than XL. I'm sorry, for 2019, we were 7 to 9% and then 9 to 10% lower in 2020. So not only have we been able to provide a reliable service, but we've also been able to provide that at a cost-effective manner to our residents. Another thing that our rate analysis looked at is really what are those types of costs that we have regardless of how much of the utility that our residents use. Matt, why don't you talk a little bit about, start with talking about customer service charge.
They support utility billing, different office staff, our fixed costs, such as certain maintenance operations that we do in both sewer and water that have to be done every day or every year, no matter how much any particular customer uses water or sewer.
What are some of the fixed costs that you guys have in the electric utility?
Well, the fixed costs would be some of those capital improvements, but also, covering utility billing costs, covering employee wages. When customers are out of town and not using energy, we still have to provide energy to to keep your appliances running when you're gone and keep the pipes from freezing up. And those are some of the fixed costs that we have.
Okay. And then the last thing I think we'll touch on, and this is particularly with the electric utility, is we've had for several years a senior discount for our electric utility, and it's been set at a 10% discount. We've changed it now. Maybe explain how we changed it, or how that transition is happening, and why is it that we're changing it?
So the change is going to occur over 2 years. So currently, or in 2020, it was a 10% discount. In 2021, it'll be a 5% discount and a $3 discount on the bill. And then in 2022, it'll be a flat $6 discount. The reasoning behind that is, through the cost of service study, is they find that discounts really they don't factor in for cost of service studies, so they really don't want to see any discounts in that. But we'd like to maintain our discount, and essentially what we want to do is we want to make sure that discount is getting to the customer that really needs it, the customer that's on a fixed budget. So you'll notice that a lot of our seniors that are on a fixed budget will be under 400 to 500 kilowatt hours, and the $6 flat discount will actually be a benefit to them. They'll actually see a higher benefit than they would have on the 10%, whereas some of the customers that would be over that 500 kilowatt hour threshold, they'll see a little less discount on their bill, but they may not be on a fixed income.
I would really encourage our residents to take a look at our budget page on our website to look at this in more detail. We do have our budget report out on the website that goes over some of the details, looks at each of the specific utilities and what type of increases we're seeing, along with the overall increase of all the utilities, and really explains the whys behind it. I hope this gives some insight into how we go through the process of looking at establishing rates, and to give our residents and businesses some comfort that not only are we using data to drive our decision making, but also some comfort to know that we're planning for the future, so that people can rest assured that we're going to not only have an affordable service, but something that's going to be reliable into the future. Because at the end of the day, we need to make sure that people do take our services for granted. We want people to take it for granted that you can turn on your faucet and your water is going to come out, or you turn on your light switch and your lights are going to turn on. So that's really the whys behind why we do a rate analysis and what we're looking at. So appreciate your time with us today, and we look forward to sharing with you another Beyond the Budget segment in the future. Thank you.